Okay, it looks like we are live. Hello and welcome to the MMA Live Chat Hour. I'm Rich Davie and it's Sunday, November 16th, 2014. On today's show, we're recapping some of the UFC 180 Hunt versus Werdum, the WSOF 15 Branch versus Okami, and the Bellator 131 Tito versus Bonnar event fights, and we'll review the predictions that we made for some of the matchups on those events. On today's show, we have yours truly and Eddie Law. Thanks for taking part in another show, Eddie. I appreciate you taking time to be here and joining me to discuss the events from this weekend and to review our predictions that we made from the last show. Go ahead and say hello to anybody that might be listening, buddy.
Oh, what's up, people? What's up, Rich? I love doing this stuff, so I never. I'm gonna make as many shows as I can, man. To be honest with you, if I could get paid to do this shit, I would. Definitely.
That would be ideal, huh?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That'd be a dream job right there.
Yeah, man. All right, buddy. Thanks again for being here. All right, let's cover some of these things that we covered on our last show. Let's start with UFC 180 Hunt versus Werdum. Let's start with Mark Hunt. Mark Hunt, 10 wins, 8 losses, 1 draw in MMA, 5 wins, 2 losses, and 1 draw in UFC. And he was fighting against Fabricio Werdum, 18 wins, 5 losses, and 1 draw in MMA. And he has a 6-2 record in the UFC. Coming into this match, Mark Hunt was ranked number 4, and Fabricio Werdum was ranked number 1 in the UFC. And Mark Hunt came out strong in round 1, and he rocked Werdum, sending him on his ass. And it was actually looking like Mark Hunt was going to come out the winner there, because most people know that Mark Hunt needs to come out early and strong, and it looked like he was going to be able to affect that right off the bat there. I know a lot of fans were hoping that would continue in round 2 there, but I guess that just wasn't meant to be there. Fabricio Werdum defeated Mark Hunt by TKO due to knee and punches at 2 minutes and 20 seconds of round 2. Your comments on this one, Eddie?
Man, well, I had Mark Hunt by knockout in round 1. That was purely on basically just hope that he would win it, and that's the only way Mark Hunt wins is by knockout and early. As far as when he wins against big odds, but Mark Hunt came out the aggressor, man. I mean, big time aggressor. He came out. He was throwing heavy punches. Fabricio Werdum, when you saw Mark Hunt walk to the cage, he was stone faced. He looked like Rocky in Rocky 4 when he was about to go face the Russian. We're talking like no emotion whatsoever. But when Fabricio walked out, happy, smiling, singing with the crowd, kind of like this would be a walk in the park, and I'll just take my belt and go home. Mark Hunt came out like a motherfucker in that first round. Basically telling him like this isn't gonna be easy, bitch, and he just fucking rocking him every chance he could. He knocked him down a couple times. After that, I almost felt like when Hunt would hit Fabricio would kind of fall back, trying to get Mark Hunt to jump into his guard, and for the most part, Mark Hunt avoided it, the same way Alistair Overeem did when he fought Fabricio. But Mark Hunt would avoid it for a while, and then he kind of got pissed off and jumped right on top of Fabricio into his guard and was actually hurting him from the top. Fabricio tried to get a couple submissions here and there. Mark Hunt would get out and then start rocking him again. And then he'd stand up and then go back to the feet, and then Mark Hunt would knock him down. When during that, in between the first and second round, Fabricio's corner, when you saw Fabricio sitting down on the stool, he had this look on his face like oh shit, this is real. I'm actually here. What am I doing? And he didn't look scared. He looked surprised. Like he kind of looked surprised that Mark Hunt was taking it to him. Fuck the cardio, fuck the 3 weeks notice. I'm showing up to kill you. And in the second round, Mark Hunt came out. He was kind of saving his energy a little bit. Felt like Fabricio tried to tire him out, and then just the opening was there, man, and Fabricio took that. Oh, first of all, Fabricio was throwing fucking spinning head kicks and shit, or heel kicks. That was fun to watch from a heavyweight. But then Mark Hunt, I don't know what he was trying to do. He was way too low, and he ate that knee, and he drops, and Fabricio on top of him with hammer fist, and they finally end the fight. Overall, it was a good fight in my opinion. I think Mark Hunt showed a lot of heart in that first round. I kind of wish he would have survived that knee Actually, I do wish he would have survived that knee to make to make it a longer fight and see what else Mark Hunt could bring. But overall, I mean, if I'm Mark Hunt, I don't feel bad at all. 3 weeks notice for a title fight where I have to cut 30-some pounds of weight in elevation, and then I think like Fred was talking about the other day with that interview with Helwani. I watched the interview. He has something going on in his personal life that was messing with him real bad. So, take all that together, the fact that he put on the show that he did, Mark Hunt should not feel bad at all for losing that fight. And at the same time, Fabricio, Fabricio basically fulfilled the script. At this point, he gets to fight Kane now and to unify the belts. So overall, it was a really fun main event, but my pick didn't go through.
Yeah, not too many guys are going to jump into Fabricio Werdum's guard on the ground there. I mean, I think most heavyweights are going to say, just like Alistair Overeem, they're not even going to engage in that. They're just going to back up and say, okay, go ahead and get up. You can stand on your feet, no problem. Yeah, so that was pretty shocking there that Mark Hunt actually did jump down and start pounding on him like that,
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah, but he looked great in round one, and then I don't know, man. I don't know if it was actually the mental issues that were bothering him in round two or what, but he did look a little bit tired in round two there, so maybe he kind of did gas himself out. Not gas himself out, but tire himself out a bit in round one, so that when he got to round two, he maybe he just didn't have enough to, like you're saying, to be able to withstand that knee shot there, because that was pretty heavy.
Yeah, no, it was a nasty one, and I think I was saying before the when we were doing the previews for this, that Fabricio showed improved striking in his last fight, and so I wasn't surprised that he was able to throw that knee. I was surprised at the spinning heel kicks though. That shit was a surprise, because he was sending him over Mark Hunt's head. And the second round, he started using that push kick real well, trying to make distance and everything. So you knew once he started using the push kick that he was going to try and come in with something crazy, like maybe a Superman punch. He might have been looking for a takedown. I'm not really sure, but I don't know, man. Fabricio definitely improved at striking, and it's going to be fun to see him and Kane throw down hopefully sometime in the spring.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw the news on that too. They're saying that, and DFW came out and refuted this, but basically it means the same damn thing no matter what DFW said. Basically, the story goes is that if Cain Velasquez isn't able to fight probably come March, that he might be stripped of the title, and then Fabricio Werdum becomes the heavyweight champ.
It's one of those things in combat sports because we've seen it with Dominic Cruz, and he held on to the title for a couple years without fighting at all, where it's kind of it's become part of the fight game. It's basically like, hey man, if you're gonna do this, that's a possibility. If you get hurt and you can't fight for a couple years or longer, you're not gonna be able to be a champion. A promotion needs a champion or its champions, and if you're not there, you kind of don't exist. So they need you to be fighting. You're only as good as your last fight, and if people don't remember your last fight, if people don't see you fight because you can't because you're hurt, it's gonna affect everything. And I mean, look, man, Kane's my favorite fighter. So it would really, really suck to see that happen. I don't see that happening. I think he's going to get healthy and be ready for a fight. But it's just, I guess, necessary evil in the UFC now.
Yeah, what DFW said was that if it turns out that Cain re-injures his shoulder or his knee again, and he's not able to fight for 6 months, that's going to be the end of it. He'll probably be stripped of the title. So.
Yeah, that would really suck, and I'm sure Fabricio doesn't want to be handed the title either. But I mean, not that he would be like, no, don't give it to me. He'll take that shit. But I think he wants to win it. I don't think he wants to get handed it. But again, it's a fight game, and I said it before and I'll say it again. Somebody bubble wrap Anthony Pettis because he's on the same damn thing. If he somehow has to pull out of this fight against Gilbert Melendez, they'll start talking about stripping his title too.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Any more comments on this one?
Oh, not at all, man. Just I just wish Mark Hunt well. Hopefully, any personal issues get cleared up, and he's healthy, and hopefully he's able to fight a couple more times before his career is over. Because 40 years old, not sure how many more title shots he's gonna get.
Yeah, he was ranked number 4 coming into this fight. So, realistically, that really shouldn't have a big impact on him in the standings there. So I don't think, I think he's still in the mix of things, don't you?
Yeah, for now. But I mean, again, like, he's gonna have to fight again. And let's say it's a fight where it's another fight like the Bigfoot fight that put him down. Yeah, boy, that hurt him a little bit. Again, 40 years old. You never know. I mean, the guy's proved to be pretty damn durable so far. So I mean, maybe one more shot at the title. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, we'll see.
All right, so as far as our predictions went on this one here, Fred went with Werdum by 7-3. He got 4 points. You went with Hunt by KO1, 0 points. I went with Werdum by 7-3, 4 points. And we're wrapping this one up here. Fabricio Werdum defeats Mark Hunt by TKO due to knee and punches at 2:27 of round 2. Yeah, and good luck to Mark Hunt there. Maybe he'll come out and he'll enlighten people as to what exactly that issue was. But like we mentioned on the last show, they're happy wife, happy life. So kind of leads you to believe that was something in that direction with personal family issues there with his, more than likely his spouse.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to Jake Ellenberger versus Kelvin Gastelum. Coming into this one here, Jake Ellenberger was 29-8 in MMA, 8-4 in the UFC, and Kelvin Gastelum was 9-0 in MMA, 4-0 in UFC. And also, Jake Ellenberger was ranked number 7, and Kelvin Gastelum was ranked number 11 in the UFC. And there were a lot of people out there who didn't think Kelvin Gastelum was going to be able to do it here, but Kelvin Gastelum defeated Jake Ellenberger by submission due to rear naked choke at 4:46 of round 1. Kids for real, man, huh?
Absolutely, and again, it's Gastelum's 23 years old. 23, he's a young buck, and he's doing really well for being so young so far. He has he's basically all the potential in the world at this point. But he comes out using with very, very crisp, very, very improved striking, dude. I did not expect him to come out the way he did. I thought Ellenberger was going to own the fight on the feet, and Gastelum was going to be looking for that takedown. And they were basically striking for a while, and Gastelum was getting the better of the exchanges. Ellenberger was constantly falling backwards, constantly getting thrown into the cage, and then the wrestling came out, and no one really thought Gastelum could take Ellenberger down pretty easy, and it was kind of easy for Gastelum to do it, and then Ellenberger threw him down. Here's my favorite part of the fight was this: when Ellenberger threw Gastelum to the ground in a takedown attempt of sorts. And he kind of had Gastelum's back on the ground, and then Ellenberger reversed the position and took Ellenberger's back, and then finished a rear naked choke. That's that evolution. That's that adaptation that fighters look for in the cage as far as the improvement goes.
Yeah, I was pretty shocked too when he threw him down to the ground so easily like that.
Yeah. So it was that was a fun ass fight for me. I enjoyed the hell out of that fight just for the fact that it shows an improvement in Kelvin Gastelum. And the shitty part, Ellenberger now has, I think, a three fight losing streak. What happens to Ellenberger now? Does he get another chance? Or does DFW feel like Ellenberger's time in the UFC is done?
Well, I think they give him another chance. He's an exciting fighter.
Yeah, if he was he's lucky he's not fucking John Fitch or Yushin Okami. Because his ass would be gone right now. In fact, he wouldn't have made it out of that building still being in the UFC. There's no way.
No. Yeah, you actually changed Fred's mind there because he was actually going with Gastelum like you and I were. But he wound up changing his pick to Ellenberger because of what the comments were on the last show.
Yeah, no, that was pretty funny. That was fun. That was fun when Fred was like, "You changed my mind." Okay, dude, fine. Go ahead, take Ellenberger. Have fun with that. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna work.
Yeah. So now tomorrow, when the rankings come out there, Kelvin Gastelum's probably going to be moving up into probably the number 8 spot. No.
I would say top 10 for sure, but he's 11 now. That's a big win, convincing win. It's I don't see him being any lower than 8.
I wonder who to match him up with next.
2 ideas. Hector Lombard or Carlos Condit. That's what I heard. That's what I talked to as far as because I talk to people a lot on Twitter. Because when I do the event coverage for my site and the play-by-play, as people start throwing ideas around. Right after the fight was happening, everyone started saying, "Oh, Carlos Condit." Other people were like, "Oh, Hector Lombard." And I'm just like, either fight would be awesome to watch. two different styles, and you know, Hector Lombard, I think, brings that the judo aspect. I think I think he brings in the judo aspect to it. So I don't know, it'd be fun as hell to watch either one of those fights. But I think the next fight Kelvin Gastelum gets is going to be, what's that?
I said neither one of those guys are a big step up for Kelvin.
You don't think so?
Yeah, I said it was a big step up for the guy.
Oh, okay. They said they weren't. No, yeah, they are. They are definitely. Especially Carlos Condit, who unfortunately is still, you know, considered one of the gatekeepers of the, you know, of the 170 division. But it'd be a good fight for Condit as far as coming back, and it'd be a great fight for you know, Gastelum should he win it, because that definitely puts him in the title conversation.
Yep. Yeah, I like this guy. I hope he continues to do well. I mean, I like, you know, Carlos Condit as well. I'd hate to see him lose. But
yeah,
I think Kelvin Gastelum does have a chance of beating Carlos Condit.
Definitely. I don't think Carlos Condit, a great striker, but his ground game isn't, you know, I don't think it's in Kelvin Gastelum's, you know, range as far as being able to, you know, hold off a wrestler like Kelvin or even stop his jiu-jitsu. But you know, still, I'd love to see what, you know, Carlos Condit fight anybody but Nick Diaz. That was a fun fight, but Diaz still got screwed, in my opinion. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I think Hector Lombard is more of a challenge.
Yeah.
For Kelvin, I don't know if he would be able to withstand that brutal judo of Hector Lombard.
Oh, the striking. I mean, the guy's he's just an animal when it comes to the striking as well. He goes for home runs every time he throws a punch.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, nobody wanted to fight Hector Lombard. They had to sign what's his face to fight him. Who is he fighting? Let me find out real quick. I know Hector Lombard's scheduled to fight somebody that they actually signed. From World Series of Fighting. What's his name? Oh, dude.
I know who you're talking about. The dude who went over there and started tearing shit up over there.
I'm going to get the name in like a second. Hang on.
Berkman.
Yeah, Josh Berkman. That's right. Yeah, Berkman had just re-signed a 3-fight contract with World Series of Fighting, and now all of a sudden he's in the UFC. And it's like, hey, welcome to the UFC. By the way, you get this guy, Hector Lombard. Have fun with that, you know?
Yeah, isn't that kind of funny the way that they're working with WSOF and the UFC? It seems like there's something more going on there than meets the eye there, because, you know, like you said, he just, you know, had re-signed over there, and now he's in the UFC. It's like, you know, we're seeing that with more than one fighter from WSOF, you know?
Yeah, no, definitely. And, you know, the WSOF and the UFC aren't enemies the way kind of Bellator and the UFC are. You know, there's no real bad blood there, so I'm sure they work together for certain things. And WSOF has kind of a reputation of taking care of their fighters. So I'm sure they were like, hey, if you want to go to UFC, go for it. Go ahead. Go, you know, take off. Have a good time. But you know damn well the UFC wouldn't be, you know, letting anybody go just like that to go to anybody else.
No.
You know? No. Which is from the UFC to leave the UFC, you got to get fired. You can't really just leave.
No.
So yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Okay, so on that one there, any more comments on that fight?
Mm-mm.
All right, so as far as our predictions for that one, Fred went with Ellenberger by TKO in 1. Since you changed his mind, he got 0 points.
That's right, Fred. You got to play the game, Fred. Fuck.
And you went with Gastelum by TKO in 2, 4 points, and I also went with Gastelum by TKO in 2, 4 points.
Yeah.
And we're wrapping this one up here. Kelvin Gastelum defeats Jake Ellenberger by submission due to rear naked choke at 4:46 of round 1. Okay, moving on to the next one here. Dennis Bermudez versus Ricardo Lamas. Coming into this one here, Dennis Bermudez was 14-3 in MMA, 7-1 in the UFC, and Ricardo Lamas was 14-3 in MMA and 4-1 in the UFC. And Dennis Bermudez was ranked number 7, and Ricardo Lamas was ranked number 4 in the UFC coming into this fight. And Ricardo Lamas defeated Dennis Bermudez by submission due to guillotine choke at 3:18 of round 1. That one kind of ended a way that a lot of people didn't think it was going to end, huh?
Yeah, everyone thought it was going to be a TKO win, and I mean, it almost was if you know, Lamas didn't you know, think of a better way to finish it. But it was a really fun fight to watch. I mean, they came out swinging. You know, they were throwing massive shit left and right. You know, what was it? I think Bermudez came out with a really hard 1-2, and then Lamas responded with like a spinning kick, and then to that Bermudez responded with a Superman punch. You know what I mean? Like, you get the idea. Like, it was these guys were swinging for fences and bonuses, man, all at the same time. So as far as, I mean, the way Lamas ended it, I think it was like I think he dropped Bermudez with a straight left, and then instead of going in to finish it via strikes, Lamas jumped in and grabbed the guillotine and ended Bermudez's night right there. It was a pretty clear-cut fight, and Lamas proved to be the better fighter that night. Bermudez is a lot to improve on now, but I don't know, man. It's just, that was one of those fights where it could have gone either way, but I didn't think it was going to be finished. I thought it was going to go decision for sure.
Yeah.
But it was nice to see Lamas finally, or not finally, but it was nice to see Lamas get a finish.
Yeah, I thought it was going to go to decision as well. I'm pretty sure most people thought that as well. And yeah, that punch that you're talking about, that left, that was basically a jab that actually sent Bermudez to the floor.
Yeah, I know. When I was training, my coach used to tell us that in training, don't throw that stiff jab. But in fighting, if you have a stiff jab, use the shit out of it, because no one expects a jab to hit that, to be that rough. And I have a really stiff left jab when I want to use it. So I used to get yelled at once in a while in training. But at the same time, it's a very useful tool for the guys that have that power. And Lamas is one of them. And I don't think Bermudez expected that that jab to hurt him. But yeah, man, any little thing can end your night real quick.
Yeah, and we see also Anderson Silva. He's got that sort of a very stiff, hard, jab that drops people. And not just guys in his division. He's dropped, light heavyweight fighters with that straight jab too.
Yeah, I think he got I don't know, it was Forrest Griffin or Rich Franklin, because they look similar to me. But Silva was falling backwards, and he threw that jab and knocked him out.
Yep.
Yeah, so yeah, he's one of those guys. But Lamas, when he fought for the title, he wasn't as good as he is now, I don't think. I think if you put him in a title fight again, which he's not going to get for at least, he's going to need at least 2 or 3 more wins to get another title shot. But, if you put him in a title fight right now, I think you get a much better showing. And he had a really great showing in his title fight, don't get me wrong. But I think he actually wins it if the Lamas that showed up to the fight on Saturday shows up to a title fight now.
Yeah, that was kind of surprising there, and I'm pretty sure that shocked everybody. And like you're saying, there, probably shocked Dennis Bermudez as well when he got dropped, and then Lamas right on him and got that guillotine in there.
Yeah, when he had when Lamas got the guillotine in there, one of my friends was like, "Look, Bermudez has that oh no face on." I'm like, "Dude, come on, fucking drunk bastard!" And then they showed the replay, and he had this weird face, like it's not supposed to be this way, and then it was awesome, but yeah, I mean, man, you got to learn from your losses. And Bermudez is gonna have to learn from
Yeah, I actually went out on a limb on that one there. I kind of went with my heart, picking the guy from Long Island there. I went with Bermudez by decision, so I didn't score any points in that one. Both you and Fred went with Lamas by decision, so both of you guys got 4 points for that one. Any other comments on this one?
No, man, that's it. Straight clear cut. Dropped him, got the guillotine, ended his night. Lamas moves on to take on a higher ranked opponent, I think, and possibly for a #1 contender spot.
Okay, wrapping this one up here. Ricardo Lamas defeats Dennis Bermudez by submission due to guillotine choke at 3:18 of round 1. And was there anything else that you wanted to speak about on that main card?
On the main card, no, not really, except for the fact that the guy, the fight before Ricardo, the Lamas Bermudez fight, the Augusto Montano, however you say his name, against Chris Heatherly. Two things. On November 9th, Chris Heatherly tweeted out that he tweeted out something to the effect of almost time to head to Mexico to show how Americans fight. Well, Chris, you fucked up because you didn't show shit. And then second of all, Montano looks like the bad guy from the last Bond movie. You ever see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, look at his face. Look at the picture of Augusto Montano and then the picture of the bad guy from the very last Bond. They look identical as shit. It was, and it was weird because for being a fight, right when he was walking out, the only thing I noticed was, hey, that guy looks like the bad guy from Bond. What the fuck is that? And then the other thing was this main card was a little. I didn't like the booking of it. because you had 2 fights in there with guys that no one really cares about.
Yeah.
You know, the real main card started with Lamas Bermudez. I think they should have put in, you know, Jessica I and Leslie Smith in there, and they should put in, you know, if not both, at least one of the tough Latin America finale fights in there. But I mean, you know, this is that when you lose Diego Sanchez and Cain Velasquez, that whole card got thrown to shit.
Yeah, that
But
Jessica I and Leslie Smith fight was actually on the main card, and then they said, I saw Jessica I tweet out or post on Facebook that it was moved off of the main card in the 11th hour, and that fight was actually supposed to be the main event of the preliminary card of Fox Sports 1, but it wound up being like the second fight on the card, not the main event. So
yeah, I didn't understand it. I didn't like it at all. I thought that was stupid. But I mean, they must have their reasons, and I'm hoping that, you know, someone sheds light on that. Just because I like to know shit. But you know, fucking that Jessica I Leslie Smith fight was awesome, and the ending was gross. And
oh, that was disgusting, wasn't it?
yeah, that, I mean, between that and Humberto Brown shitting himself, you had a lot of different gross shit in the card, dude. Like,
You know what they call that, don't you, when a fighter does that?
what?
It's called the Crappler's Blues.
Oh, never heard that before. Oh man, it was really gross, man. It was funny because I was pointing it out because someone else was like, "Oh, I bet Yoel Romero." Oh no, Yoel Romero, when he did it, like he kept saying it was sweat, right? And I kept saying this guy can't say shit about sweat because that's like brown greenish. That's gross. Like you can tell that shit. Like you can't lie to anybody. Yeah, like sweat stains on blue shorts. You can tell it's a sweat stain. That was green brownish shit that was like pouring out. That means there was actual shit. I don't even want to talk about it. That shit's gross. But still.
Yeah, the first fight I remember that happening, it was a grappling match, which is where I got the name the Crappling Blues. Was a grappling match with Tim Sylvia.
Oh yeah, Tim Sylvia. I remember that shit. I seen pictures of that. It's so disgusting. And a guy Sylvia's size, you'd expect it though.
Well, you never want to have Mickey D's before you go into a bout, you know.
Yeah, that was a question I was asking today when I was doing my show. I was like, you know, when do they eat and what do they eat? How long before the fight would you eat? Because, you know, I don't think you want to have a full stomach right before your fight. No. And again, you're in Mexico. I don't think, you know, like for example, I lived there and I used to, you know, I eat all the food and all that. It was, I guess my body's immune to all the crazy shit that might happen to somebody else. But you know, you go down there and you know, you eat the wrong thing, man, you might shit your shorts. Yeah.
Well, you know why I heard that is, and maybe you can verify this for me or not. Maybe you don't know, but I heard the reason that people get Montezuma's revenge down there is not from the water. It's actually from the food because they use human waste as fertilizer down there.
You know what? I don't know about that, but I'm gonna ask now. I have family that lives on there. I'm gonna call somebody. But
because for years and years, the Montezuma's revenge, they were blaming on the water down there. But from what I've read and heard, that it's not the water; they use human waste as fertilizer.
Hey man, it's possible. It's still you know, they don't act like it down there, but it's still technically a third world country. And you know, India takes showers in the same river they shit in and put their bodies in. Disgusting. It's very possible.
Yeah, that's disgusting. Very possible. I look at that in India when they're all bathing in that brown water. It's like, oh my God, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah, it's I don't know. So I'm gonna find out about that because I think that's really freaking gross. And if that's true, they use human waste as fertilizer. But yeah, I wouldn't put it past it. I will say that I wouldn't put it past people down there. But it would really suck that my people are doing that. I'd be really grossed out.
Well, let me know when you find out there, because like I said, I've read that on a couple of occasions, and I've heard that's what it is. Because like I said, you hear about the Montezuma's revenge, and everyone's always saying, don't go to Mexico and drink the water, and I've read it's got nothing to do with the water.
Yeah, I'll find out. We'll see what happens.
Okay, let's talk about Jessica I versus Leslie Smith. Jessica I was 10-2 in MMA, 0-1 in the UFC coming into this one, and Leslie Smith was 7 wins, 5 losses, and 1 no contest, or 1 draw actually in MMA, and 1-1 in the UFC. And Jessica I was ranked number 6, and Leslie Smith was ranked number 13 in the UFC. And Jessica I, man, oh man, she looked sharp as hell in round 1. And this fight started out with Jessica I on fire. I mean, she looked to be at her best, and she was relentless, throwing nonstop punches at Leslie Smith, who seemed a bit overwhelmed from that barrage of strikes that were coming her way. And like you mentioned earlier there, this one here ended in a bizarre fashion due to Leslie Smith nearly having her ear ripped off after her cauliflower ear was exploded from a few shots that Jessica Eye landed to the side of her head, right above and on her ear. And man, that was pretty gross there. And man, she hit that cauliflower ear, and that thing just exploded open, and the ear was damn near ripped off. And even with half of her ear ripped off, Smith was game to continue, but the doctor did the right thing, and he stopped the bout because man, that was gruesome. There was no two ways arguing about that. There's no way that the fight should have gone on, and it would have been absolutely dreadful if Leslie Smith lost her ear in the octagon, and that sort of publicity would have set the sport way back, because who was that one wrestler who lost his ear in a match? Mick Foley, I think his name.
Oh yeah, Mick Foley lost his shit. Yeah.
Yeah. So that would have been just gross if her ear would have actually been ripped off. I mean, because the way they're touting it now is they're saying half of her ear was ripped off when, basically it wasn't ripped off. It was just split open.
Yeah. No, definitely. And this is what the fear is with women's MMA. Like, again, nobody wants to see a girl get the crap punched out of her, but, nobody wants to see a gruesome injury on a woman either. And that's kind of what we got. And so, had the doctor allowed it to continue, that's the headline that we get today. It's all MMA's horrible. They let a woman continue fighting with her ear almost falling off, and damn well Jessica Eye was going to continue to target that damn ear. She was not going to stop punching the ear. She was going to make sure that ear was torn completely off.
Oh, well, you could tell she was targeting that because she kept hitting the side of her head, and it wasn't just she was hitting above the ear, but she was aiming for the ear, and then eventually that thing exploded, and that was gross. It looked like something out of Aliens or some shit like that, where the blood just kept squirting out. It was disgusting.
Yeah, we were watching it. When we were watching it at a bar, there was a big old screen right in front of us, and when she landed that punch that it made the thing explode, I kind of I'm like everybody else, where I'm like, oh shit, but I was just like, oh shit, blood in the air, and they were like, what? And I'm like, that blood went airborne. What are you talking about? And then they replayed it during the doctor timeout, whatever. Mm-hmm. And yeah, you see the punch land, and there's blood everywhere. Like, it's airborne, and there's like big globs of it.
Yeah, that wasn't just a little squirt, man. That was like, it almost looked like coagulated globs of blood that were shooting out. It was sick.
Yeah, exactly. Imagine if you took a balloon, just a tiny balloon, filled it up with like this red dye water or ketchup, tape it to the wall and punch it. That's kind of what it was like. It just went everywhere. Yeah. So but I mean, look, credit to Jessica Eye. She was just smooth movement. The head movement was way improved. The footwork way improved. The striking super crisp, and what won her the fight, in my opinion, the quickness. She was very, very quick. I think I don't remember the stat from the top of my head, but it was like 30-some strikes that Jessica Eye threw in that first round. And Leslie Smith, look, Smith ate a ton of shots, and she was still throwing back. And the difference between Jessica Eye's strikes and Leslie Smith's strikes, Jessica Eye would come in, pop 1, 2, and 3, and then start avoiding punches. That was kind of what she was doing the whole fight. But when Leslie Smith would land a punch, you saw Jessica's head snap back. So Jessica knew she had to keep moving in order to not get knocked out. But once that ear exploded, man, Jessica Eye, it's like she smelled blood, man. It was blood in the water. It was over.
Yeah, I don't know if that was a smart move by Leslie Smith to keep moving forward the way that she was, because holy crap, she looked like a zombie, man. Yeah. She was just eating shots, one after the other, and she just kept coming forward, and it was like there was no defense. It's like, what the hell are you doing, girl?
Yeah, no, it was. It's one of those things where her corner should have been yelling at her. I think, and maybe they were, and I didn't hear it, but if they were yelling at her, she damn sure ignored the fuck out of them, because she kept walking forward and eating shots like no other, and it clearly was not good for her.
Yeah, and it was almost like she didn't expect it at all, and she was like, oh shit, that didn't hurt, but you could tell she was like, almost like The Walking Dead, man. She was basically out on her feet from those series of blows that she kept getting hit with, and then she just kept walking through, and I was like, damn, this girl's gonna get hurt.
Yeah, she actually trains with Gilbert Melendez and the Scrap Pack and all them. So those guys are known to do that kind of stuff, to just keep walking forward no matter what. They don't, you saw Melendez versus Diego Sanchez. Melendez ate a lot of shots, and Melendez would not stop or walk backwards. He was just walking forward the entire time. So, she's just emulating what her team does, and maybe not the smartest actually, no, not the smartest thing to do, especially, but you know, she basically was just fighting how her team fights, and well, it cost her part of her ear, basically.
Yeah, yeah, that was pretty gross. I mean, afterwards, Leslie Smith posted some pictures of her ear.
Yeah.
And, oh man, it looked like it
Yes.
was halfway torn off. And she said, I wanted to keep on going. She goes, but thankfully the doctors did the right thing, and they, had my welfare in their mind, and they stopped the fight, which was the right thing to do.
Yeah, I
I'm
saw.
paraphrasing there, but that's basically what she said.
Yeah. But she also what was she doing? Oh yeah, when the doctor stopped, they were talking. The doctor was talking to her Dean. She was yelling out in Spanish. She was yelling to the crowd in Spanish. It doesn't hurt. I want to. I'm gonna. Excuse me. I'm gonna continue. And yeah, it was pretty funny that she was doing that. But I could tell my friends. I'm like, she must have that shot of adrenaline or something, because something's telling her to keep going. And most fighters would be looking at that and be like, yeah. But
Yeah, she couldn't see, so
yeah.
I'm sure she
No,
had
you know
no
what?
idea how gruesome that damn thing looked.
That's a new thing right there. From now on, if something crazy like that happens and the fighters is that like, oh, let's continue. The UFC needs to zoom in with the camera, put it on the making big screen, and the ref goes, hey, look, that's what you look like right now. What do you think
Yeah,
now? You
yeah.
know?
Take a look at that up there on the
Yeah,
jumbotron.
yeah, man. In fact, I'm looking at her score page, and there's a shot where it's the other side, not the ear that gets punched, but it's the other side, and all you see is her kind of covering up her face here. Jessica's eye punches on this side, and there's like a thing of blood just going up like this. It's like a lot of it. So, um,
I wonder if had they lanced that and drew out the fluid before the fight, if it would have had that same devastating impact.
well,
The,
a lot of fighters take pride in having cauliflower ear. One of my friends does. He loves it, and I'm just like, dude, like, his wife hates it, by the way. She's always complaining about it, trying to get him to get the surgery to fix it, or at least to drain it. But he's all proud of it. And then other fighters just don't think about it. Like it's but once you get the cauliflower ear, and once it pops the way hers popped, next time it happens, it's gonna be easier to pop it.
well, who was that other big tall fighter who had that same problem? Remember when that big tall fighter had his ear blow up like that? Thompson, I think his name was.
James Thompson.
Yeah, wasn't it him?
Let me see. But yeah, I think you're right. Let's see.
But he's another guy who had those big, nasty cauliflower ears, and it's like,
Yeah, Kimbo Slice fucked his ear up.
yeah, I mean, you would figure that, after you see that a couple times, maybe people should start saying, maybe before I go into this fight with a striker, maybe it would be the wise thing to drain the fluid from my cauliflower ear,
Hey
in
man,
advance.
yeah, I would have. And again, is her trainers, Melendez and all them need to be telling her like, hey, maybe we should get this fixed.
Yeah,
So, or at
I mean,
least
I don't know. I mean, that looked like a pretty gruesome injury there, and I don't know how long she's going to be out for that, because I don't see that healing up in any sort of, quick time frame.
right. So you know what? Speaking of James Thompson, do you know he's fighting again?
Yeah, I heard that.
He's fighting to take on Bobby Lashley.
Yeah, I heard that.
What the fuck, dude? We stopped already. You're 35. You're 20-14. Go home with a winning record. Call it quits. It's
Well,
getting to the
Lashley's coming
point.
along though. I actually like him. It's not that
Yeah.
I don't like WWE fighters or anything like that. I've got nothing against the wrestlers. I've always liked Bobby Lashley because
Oh yeah.
he seems like a legitimately nice guy.
Yeah. No, definitely. And Bobby Lashley, he's one of those guys that's like a true professional, and it's one of those guys that's trying to do wrestling and fighting at the same time. But I think TNA, he works for TNA. I think that TNA thing's gonna go down the toilet now because Viacom bailed on him.
Yeah.
But so I think he's gonna be focused on full-time fighting, or he's gonna move back to WWE. But he's
Oh, I
one
didn't
of those
know he
guys.
was still doing both. I thought he had dedicated himself more to MMA now, and which is why he was working on his ground game. And didn't he get a submission or two recently?
I think he did. Let's see if I can pull that up. I lost it. But anyway, no. But he yeah, I think he did. But he looks like he's still working for Impact Wrestling. So He just recently did an interview about his future with TNA, but it doesn't say much about what he's gonna do. But at the same time, TNA is supposed to be like shutting down because they're just mismanaged.
Yeah,
But if he went,
I always thought he was going to do much better because when I saw Brock Lesnar come over to the UFC and how dominant he was because of that, the sheer brute strength that he had, I was expecting the same thing from Bobby Lashley as well. But he didn't fare quite as well as Brock Lesnar did initially. But it seems like he's getting the shit together and he's coming around now.
yeah, but at the same time, it's hard to look at either Brock Lesnar or Bobby Lashley and confidently 100% say, oh yeah, he's natural. Because I'm looking at a picture of Bobby Lashley right now. That does not look human at all.
Yeah.
That looks like either a bodybuilder or someone that's juiced to the gills, man.
Well, I mean, it's no secret that over there in WWE and entertainment wrestling that a lot of those guys were juice freaks. A lot of the Mexican guys weren't, but then again, too, you saw some of the Mexican guys bulk up after a while as well.
They had to. I mean, the thing with the Mexican wrestlers, the luchadores, was that they were small. They weren't, buff and ripped and huge and anything, but they were athletic as hell and they were quick as shit. And because they were short, they could do a lot of crazy aerial maneuvers.
Yeah, they used to freak me out when I watched that stuff with my brothers. Man, those little guys used to amaze me.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I'm like maybe 5, 6 years old. My parents took me to a couple shows in Mexico, the luchadores shows, and those guys would fly through the air. And then when we moved over here, I started watching WWE and everything. They had this guy Rey Mysterio. My favorite wrestlers were Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero, right?
I remember those two. That's about the same era when I was watching it with my brothers.
Yeah, and even you saw the way Rey Mysterio moves and flies around. You can tell that guy's not juiced at all. Maybe he might have been using other things, but he was not a huge guy until later on. Same with Eddie Guerrero. When he started his career, he was just a regular looking guy, but he was all charisma. He was all personality. But physically he wasn't that big at all. And he was flying through the air and all that. And then all of a sudden he started bulking up a little more and then a little more, and then he was a huge Mexican dude. And at that point I was kind of thinking like, that's when I started thinking that's not natural, man. That guy's on something, and it sucks because he was one of my favorite wrestlers. And then when he died because of I think a heart issue, you could tell that all that stuff had taken its toll.
Oh yeah, I mean the guys in wrestling, entertainment wrestling, most of them die. I mean, average age for those guys is in their 40s, and that's that's a mortality rate that's extremely low. For men in their 40s to be dying of heart-related issues, and that's got to do with juicing, steroids.
Yeah, and it's one of the reasons I don't watch it anymore. It was hard for me to even say that I watched it because I don't want to support it. Like I don't stand behind like a lot of causes in that manner. Like, oh, I'm gonna boycott Walmart because of this. Because I'm not. Because look, as much as Walmart is fucking evil, they still put out the cheapest shit, and I don't make a ton of money, so I need to buy the cheapest stuff. But with wrestling is one of those things that I could do because I'm just like, man, these guys are dying left and right like that, and they're not doing a lot of a lot of things after their careers are over. They're just dying, so I just couldn't support it. And when Eddie died, it was hard for me to continue watching, man. It really was. I was like, man, this is what got that dude killed,
Yeah, and then you had that roid rage incident with Chris Benoit. That was.
Oh God, that was, man.
I couldn't happen because my two brothers loved that guy.
The Wolverine, dude, he was fun to watch too. He's one of those guys that wasn't supposed to make it. He wasn't supposed to be anybody, but he made a name for himself. He's a tough guy, even in competition. Yeah, it's scripted and all that, but when Chris Benoit entered the ring, you better show up because he would punch you in the face for real if you even slacked off even a tiny bit. So I mean, that's the thing with the wrestlers and everything, and Bobby Lashley somehow pulling off the fighting with the wrestling, and I'm hoping he's clean. And obviously he's never popped hot on a drug test, at least not that we've heard of.
Yeah, I don't think he's as large as he used to be, though. I mean, he looks to be a little bit leaner than he was in the past when he was full-time wrestling.
Yeah. Then again, super buff bodybuilders that would try to fight would probably get the shit kicked out of him because they're not quick enough at all. So he probably had to lose some of that size in order to compete.
Oh yeah, and then also you got the issue with the lactic acid, because they have so much muscle, they get lactic acid buildup so much
Yeah.
quicker.
Yeah, man, that's what I love about here in Phoenix. There's a mountain that's called Camelback Mountain. It's not that bad, but it's a straight up, right? So there's like it's very very steep. It's basically straight up, and I love seeing these guys, the big bulky ass dudes. They run, me and my friends run it at least once every couple weeks when the weather's nice. So we're basically about to start pretty soon, and we'll start going up kind of slow, and these buff ass dudes just shoot right past us, right? We catch up to them in like 5 minutes, and they're hands on the knees and shit, breathing hard. And I remember the first time I saw it, I walked by and I'm like, hard to get all that muscle up the mountain, huh? And they were like, I don't know if I can make it, dude. I'm like, stop being a bitch, you can make it. And we just kept going. But yeah, big muscles don't necessarily help you in MMA.
Yeah, it's a detriment in the sport of MMA.
Definitely.
Okay, any more on the Jessica I versus Leslie Smith fight?
No, but I think I had just a guy be TKO. I think I don't remember what round though.
Yeah, let's see. Our predictions for this one were Fred, I by decision, 4 points. Eddie, I by decision, 4 points. Rich, I by decision, 4 points. So,
Damn, I could have sworn I said TKO, but okay, that's fine.
I think I re-listened to the show today and I
Yeah.
documented, because I didn't document it because we didn't really write anything up before we did that show. So I
Yeah.
went back and listened to it again. All right, so Jessica I defeats Leslie Smith by TKO due to doctor stoppage at 1:30 of round two due to that gruesome injury to Leslie Smith's ear. Okay, and then other fights on the card that we need to talk about here: the Tough Latin America Featherweight Final, which featured Leonardo Morales versus Yair Rodriguez. And Morales was 4-0 in MMA, 0-0 in UFC, and Rodriguez was 3-1 in MMA and 0-0 in UFC. And that was a very exciting fight between those two tough Latin America finalists. That was a great fight, man. Did you enjoy that one?
You talking about the Rodriguez fight?
Yeah.
Be completely honest with you, I was actually training venues at that time. I had to drive about 20 minutes to this wing place that me and my friends meet up at for the main card. So I put up on Twitter. I hit up some people on Twitter like, hey, let me know what happens as it happens, and no one said shit. They just gave me the freaking result.
Oh man, it was one of those fights where you were just glued to the screen. That's probably why.
Damn it! I'm gonna have to find this shit on the internet somewhere because I fucking knew I missed a good fight too. Because I showed up to the place. My friends were there and they had actually seen it. And I was like, "How was that fight?" And they were like, "Dude, you fucked up." And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "You should have just waited till that first main card fight to drive." I'm like, "God damn it, dude! I want to see that. So I'm gonna have to find it online somewhere."
It was exciting as hell, man. These guys were going back and forth at each other, man.
hmm that's something I would expect from what I listen from Rodriguez. And his record is not it's not a big. I think it's a 4-1 record or something like that. Very very small record, but he's incredibly talented, very very talented. But what's his name? Leonardo Morales has fun striking, man. I don't know if he used a lot of it during this fight, but I know during the competition that dude was just throwing kicks, flying all over the place. It was fun to watch that. But I'm definitely gonna have to look for this fight on the internet somewhere.
Yeah, I had a hard time because all three events were on last night, and I was trying to switch and watch all three events all night long. So I was having a hard time watching everything and documenting everything. I was
Yeah.
going back and forth. But yeah, I do remember that one. That one was pretty damn exciting. Yeah, I'm sure you'll see that one again. That was really an exciting fight. Um, on that one there, Yair Rodriguez defeated Leonardo Morales by unanimous decision with the judges' scorecards reading 29-28, 29-28, and 29-28. I don't remember exactly how I scored that one there, but I think I scored the first two for Rodriguez and the last one for Morales, from what I can remember.
Yeah, I mean, look, man, I was picking on the Mexican fighters anyway, so I didn't think Morales would beat him anyway. So I don't think we picked those fights, but I definitely thought that Rodriguez would get that win.
Yeah, we didn't pick them, but yeah, both you and Fred mentioned that you thought Rodriguez was going to win. You didn't say how, but you did say you thought that he was going to win that one.
Yeah, very talented kid, and Morales needs to continue, I guess, improving, and I'm sure he'll be back. That guy's too fun of a striker to let go. But I want to see where Rodriguez goes for a camp, because that's gonna be a big deal when it comes to his improvement.
Oh yeah, here's my notes on that fight. I scored rounds 1 and 2, 10-9 for Rodriguez. Round 3, 10-9 for Morales.
So he waited till the end to come on. Okay.
Okay. Any more comments? No, well, you didn't see that one there, so let's go ahead and wrap that one up there. Yair Rodriguez defeats Leonardo Morales by unanimous decision with the judges' scorecards reading 29-28, 29-28, and 29-28. They all saw it the same way that I did. Okay, and then we had the tough Latin America bantamweight final, which featured Alejandro Perez versus Jose Quinones. Is that how you say that guy's name?
Quinones. It's like with the little squiggly line over the end, so it's Quinones. But yeah.
Yeah.
It was driving me a little nuts that Goldberg saying Quinones, and I was like, "You son of a bitch!" It's not. But I can't expect Goldberg to say it correctly when it's not it's clearly not an American name. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm used to that down here because, like I was telling you before, we've got all kinds of individuals down here from Latin America, South America. I mean, everywhere. We've got Argentinians and Brazilians and Colombians and Cubans, and we got everybody down here. So I'm used to hearing these names.
Yeah, but
that was an exciting one too. Did you see that one?
Oh, absolutely caught that one. I think I caught all of them except for the Rodriguez Morales fight. But that fight was fun. It was very exciting. They were going back and forth, and that's actually the third time those two guys fight each other. They fought each other before. I think it was like 1-1. But I mean, Perez actually clearly took the trilogy. But Quinones, basically everything turned when he headbutted Perez when he had the top position and he headbutts him.
Wasn't it?
It was fucked up. But the thing about it is that immediately Big John was saying it was intentional. Everybody said it was intentional. Joe Rogan's like, that was intentional. I wasn't convinced until they showed us a different angle, and I was like, yeah, that shit was intentional.
Dude, he postured up, man.
Yeah, he came up and he looked like a freaking goat, just like straight up.
I was like, holy shit, that's fucked up, man.
Yeah. And then when Perez was talking to, or when what's his name, Big John was talking to Perez was trying to tell him, that's the third time he does it, man. Like, he kept telling him in Spanish, it's the third time he does it. And I didn't notice any other ones, but I'm sure he's right about it. But when that happened and Big John took away 2 points, he took away 2. That made it nearly impossible for Quinones to win the fight by decision. At that point, he had to finish Perez, and I think Perez knew it, and so he was kind of not running away, but he was being a little more elusive than usual. And he ended up winning the fight by decision. You see that part though, where Quinones had to actually run after Perez, and Perez is kind of backing up real fast.
Yeah.
Quinones was on stride, running with him. Like, oh shoot, dude! What? I think that's the first time in a long time I've seen someone actually run in the cage. I think the time before that was somebody fighting Machida, but that was a while ago.
Or of course the running man, Khalib Starnes.
Exactly. Yeah. But no. This it sucks to see Quinones. It kind of smeared the fight a little bit. Not as far as the performance goes, but because you knew who was going to win if it went to decision. It was no-brainer at that point, and the judges clearly saw the headbutt. They clearly thought it was intentional, and reflected the score.
Yeah, my notes from that as I was watching it live there, I put down what a wild and exciting fight this matchup was, but there was also a very unsportsmanlike, dirty move it was actually Quinones who did that, correct?
Yeah, Quinones is the one with the headbutt.
Yeah, and that was in round 3, and again, like you're saying there, it was probably intentional because he knew he had no chance. But man, and like I said to you a minute ago, there he was in full mount on Perez, and he postured up and then just blasted Perez right in the face. And I don't know, I thought Perez was actually complaining in between rounds there, but you were saying he was saying it was like the third time, but I thought he was saying, no, man, he broke my nose because he kept pointing to his nose, you know?
It looked like it was broken. I thought it was broken too, but yeah, he kept telling him it's the third time he does it. I didn't hear anything about the ear, but then again, when the camera turned away at that point, so you couldn't hear anything. But yeah, his nose looked broken to me. So I mean, he might have done that too. And
Yeah.
it's one of those things where fighters will sometimes they'll foul their opponents, thinking that maybe they'll get a point taken away at the very most, and maybe at the very least they'll get warned. But they'll hurt their opponent enough to be able to finish him and get the win anyway. And
Yeah.
it's one of those things that needs to be discouraged. And Big John definitely took a step towards that when he took away 2 points instead of
Oh,
one.
yeah, he walked right up to him and he said, that was blatantly intentional. He goes, that's a 2-point deduction. And
Yeah.
like you were saying there, from that point on, there was just no way he was going to win that fight unless he finished it. So I don't know about you. I don't know how you scored that one there, but I gave every round to Alejandro Perez there. I mean, even that last round, I mean, there were arguments made for Quinones winning the third round there, but because he was such a, I don't know, an unsportsmanlike fella in the third round there, I also gave that round to Perez.
Yeah, no, definitely. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I have Perez winning all of them. Sorry, someone just sent me this thing about, and we'll probably try to bring this up either another show or today, but um, somebody died at Duke Rufus's gym.
Oh, really?
You hear about that?
No, I
Uh,
didn't.
if you go to Rose Namajuna's Twitter, somebody named Dennis Munson died, and a lot of people are blaming Duke Rufus in his gym.
Wow.
I guess something to read up, and we can talk about it later. But yeah, someone just sent it to me right now on Twitter. They're like, "Have you seen this shit?" And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, "Whoa, what the hell?" Like, and Rosa Majunas is tweeting out. This is her words. Quote: "Crazy that I finally speak out against the people that are responsible for this tragedy." And she's posting about it on Score. It's wow. Okay, this is kind of crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, let's see. Okay, yeah, crazy. I finally speak out against the people that are responsible for this tragedy, and now other people are coming out too. It's sad that it takes someone's life to bring awareness. This is about one of them, Coach Scott Cushman on Tough, who was in the corner of Dennis Munson. Yeah, wow, okay. This is big because I think that's Anthony Pettis' gym.
Wow. Are any details on what caused the death?
No, I'm gonna research it after the show probably and find out. But we definitely something we need to talk about later on. But
Wow.
this could be huge. It's gonna put a big spotlight not only on the gym. Oh, here it is. Milwaukee kickboxer Dennis Munson Jr.'s death follows cascade of errors by fight officials. Let's see. With 2 rounds in the books, Dennis Munson Jr. slumped on the stool in the corner of the ring. The hoots and hollers of a Friday night fight echoing through the cavernous ballroom. The 24-year-old, wiry and chiseled, had struck hard in the first round, but faded fast in the second. Now everything depended on the third and final round. Munson sagged and swayed as the coach barked instructions propping him up. He was basically on the stool falling over. Let's see, continuing here. It was Munson's first kickboxing match. Munson and his twin brother had watched fights like these since they were kids growing up on Milwaukee's great northwest side. The two were inseparable. They worked out together, lifting weights on the bench, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so it's just kind of like just telling his life story, but it looks like he died at the kickboxing match.
Wow.
Yeah, this is okay. That's Milwaukee Journal Sentinel. You have a horrible writer. It doesn't tell you shit about what happened.
Well, there must have been some underlying issues with him then.
Yeah. Here it is. Well, Bloody Elbow wrote about it. Rufus Sport kickboxer Dennis Munson dies following decision loss at Knockout Kings event. This actually looks like it happened back in March. And, yeah, because this article's from March 30th, 2014. And then I guess just now details are coming out about it.
Wow.
They're putting the blame on.
I don't remember hearing about that. That's weird.
Yeah, me neither. Like I just said, I just got the thing right now. And oh, you know what? I take it back. I did see something about this kid because I saw a Dennis Munson family fund post not too long ago. And okay, now that makes sense. Oh wow! So they're saying a lot of people are starting to blame Duke Rufus's gym and this one coach. But yeah, go check out Rose Namajuna's Twitter and her score page.
Yeah.
And And yeah, man, this is damn, this really does suck.
Wow.
Oh, shit. All right, well, we'll talk about that some other time, I guess.
Wow. Yeah, that's tragic. I don't recall hearing that. Usually I know all the MMA news that's coming out because we're usually scouring everything that's breaking news so we can cover it on the shows.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I think she tweeted it out just like a couple hours ago. I know I didn't catch it till now. And oh, people are actually sending her messages like of their experiences at Duke Rufus's gym, and a lot of them are crazy. Like this one here says, this guy named Timothy Reeb says, quote, he had me training with a new guy that weighed maybe 150 pounds. I weighed 370 pounds and have 20 years experience in martial arts. He yelled at me for not hitting him harder. What the
Wow.
hell, dude? That's you know what? I've been through something like that before. Actually, I've seen a heavyweight fighter be put to spar with like a 16-year-old kid or 17-year-old kid that very small and frail, and this dude caught him with a liver shot and drops his kid, and it was just like, what are you doing putting these two together and sparring? This is stupid,
Wow,
you
that's
know. But
crazy.
yeah, I'm gonna have to read some more into it, and we'll get some more details on it.
Wow. Yeah, so you had Perez winning every round then, huh?
Yep, I had Perez every single round. Even if Quinones had not headbutted him, if that fight goes to decision, it's Perez anyway.
Yeah. I scored it the same way as you did. I scored it 30-25 for Perez.
Mhm. Yeah.
And the judges actually scored 29-26, 29-26, and 28-27. The fuck was that one judge on?
I don't know. I don't know, but the same thing could be said for that Tito Ortiz Stephan Bonnar fight with the split decision bullshit. That was we can talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, yeah, we'll get onto that one too. All right.
Yeah,
Anything else you want to talk about on this event here, or is that it?
that's it for that one, man.
Okay, so recapping our predictions overall here, we all tied. We all went 3 wins and 1 loss. Our 1 loss for each of us were different fights for each of us as well. So
Yeah,
we all went 3-1 with 12 points out of 40. So
yeah.
none of us bested the other one. Okay, let's move on here. Let's talk about real quickly here the fight of the night bonuses there. Fight of the night went to Henry Briones. Is that how you say it?
Wait, Henry Briones, yeah, yeah.
And Guido Caminetti.
Guido Canetti, yeah. That was funny because they kept calling him Guido, and you could tell he's getting pissed off by it because it's actually Guido in Spanish. You don't use the U sound
Oh,
when it's
really?
GUI. You go Gui, you skip the U. So
Ah,
Guido, yeah. But he was getting mad, and even Bruce Buffer fucked it up too, and you saw his face like motherfucker. It was pretty funny. And you know what's funny? Here's the funny part because one note I want to take on that fight is Guido's Argentinian. Mexicans don't like Argentinians. In fact, most of Latin America doesn't like Argentinians. Argentinians have this reputation for being really arrogant assholes. Really,
oh, really?
Oh, they don't like. Nobody likes Argentinians. Very
I
few.
dated an Argentinian girl, and she was the sweetest girl that I ever met.
Yeah, no, the women are great. They got some good looking girls down there, and there's some really good people. But they're professional soccer players. They're national team that they send to the World Cup. A lot of the professional athletes, assholes, all of them. And like you could just tell that they're just arrogant, think they're the best at everything, and Guido came off like that too during the show when you were watching that. He lost his fight. Mind you, he should have won. The horrible decision. He fought Marco Beltran, and Beltran had nothing for him, dude. And it should have been a unanimous decision for Guido, but Beltran ended up winning it by unanimous decision. Or yeah, I think no, sorry, I think by split decision he won. But yeah, Guido could not believe it, and not only did he lose the fight, and Kane even admitted that no, you should have won that fight. He would not shut the fuck up about it. It's all he talked about for the rest of the show. It was like the Heather Joe Clark of Tough Land America. So, everyone, his own teammates were started getting annoyed with him a little bit. And the Mexican fighters definitely didn't like him at that point. But yeah, a lot of people were on Twitter were talking to me saying, well, why are they booing him so harshly? He's still a Latino. And I'm like, because he's Argentinian, and Mexicans and most of Latin America does not like Argentina whatsoever. And I honestly don't blame him. But no, that aside, Guido is super talented. That dude can fight, and his fights are always a lot of fun. In fact, I almost think he had this fight won had he not gotten finished by Henry.
Yeah. Well, I can understand how Buffer could screw that name up because when you look at a name that that ends in a vowel, typically you're thinking that's an Italian name.
No, for sure, man.
But the two of them, they earned $50,000 each for the fight of the night. And,
awesome fight. Yeah.
Yeah. And Fabricio Werdum wins $50,000 performance of the night bonus for his finish with Mark Hunt by TKO due to knees and punches at 2:27 round 2. And Kelvin Gastelum wins $50,000 performance of the night bonus for his finish of Jake Ellenberger by submission due to rear naked choke at 4:46 of round 1. I would say those were all just bonuses.
Yeah, no, for sure. I completely agree with all of them. Kind of wish Mark Hunt had gotten something. I'm hoping Dana White took care of him a little bit because his performance was really good. I mean, yeah, he got finished, he got knocked out and everything, but that first round and to step up in short notice and to have to lose all that weight, considering all that, great performance from Mark Hunt, even in the loss. Yeah,
I think the FW was happy with him, so he'll probably give one of the backstage bonuses to him with the locker room.
I hope so. I hope so, man. I hope so.
All right, yeah, that was a great event, man. How did you rate that one?
Man, it's one of my favorites of the year for sure. And again, not only because they had the Mexican fighters on there, and the fact that the Mexican crowd showed up, that was awesome. I was very happy with it. They made a really good impression on the UFC and on the world, really. I mean, they were in there, they were doing their chants, singing the songs with the walkouts and everything. It was great. But definitely one of the best of the year, I think. I think considering the fact that there was no Kane and no Diego Sanchez, it was a really good overall event. Lots of finishes and lots of exciting fights, which is the best part about it.
You a fan of Diego?
No.
You don't like him?
No. Man, it's hard for me to me, Diego Sanchez is a guy that's kind of delusional at this point. Yeah, he's Mexican heritage.
Come on, you're not like a fella from Mexico or Mexican heritage.
Oh man, I'm not super. There's a lot of Mexicans I don't like, so that's a funny thing is what I tell people this all the time is when you have those, for example, issues here in Arizona with immigration and the Dreamers and all that, is there was like ideas getting thrown around, like, we need to get a million-man march and all that, and I was one of the first ones, and one of the super unpopular ones, by the way, but I was one of the first ones to say that's never gonna happen. You're never gonna get a million Mexican march ever, and everyone's like, why? And I'm like, because we don't like each other. That's just what it is. Well, we do not like each other. It's really. It really does suck, man, because it gets in the family. Not to get too. I'm not gonna get too much into my own personal life, but there are rifts within my own, family, not my, immediate one, but like you're talking the cousins, uncles, and all that. There are, just like every family does, but these are like legit we don't like you type of things. To where if we, run into you at a family function, we need to stay away from each other or shit's gonna go down. It's that kind of thing. So yeah. So, but look, man, I support Diego Sanchez for the fact that he is Latino, he is Mexican, and but as far as a fan of him as a exclusively as a fighter and all that, or as a person, not really. I really don't. Not a big deal of him and everything. But I
always liked Diego, man. I was always a fan of his.
Yeah, no, I look, man. That guy has heart for days, man. He comes out, doesn't care, but. Okay, I'll tell you what it is. It's the fact that he goes into fights and he gets hurt, he gets messed up, and at the end of the fight, it's just I do not like seeing fighters that can barely speak. That fight he had against Gilbert Melendez, you didn't understand a fucking word he said at the end of that fight, man. And they were talking to him, and he was like, the people know, and I was like, oh shit, dude, come on, like stop doing this to yourself. I think that's the reason I don't like him, because it's just so sad to watch. Him after a fight.
He's been in so many wars, man. It's got to be taking its toll on him.
No, for sure. And I really, really fucking wish he would, start thinking about it. He's got a family. I mean, maybe he's saving up money now. He's taking big fights in order to get paid and save up some money and move on. But
yeah, well, he actually came out and said, you remember when he was doing well for a while? He was dating one of the Octagon girls, and he kind of went off the deep end there, and he said he wound up going into a world of drugs and things like that. And then he said, I realized I'd spent every penny that I had, and it was time for me to make a comeback, and I changed my whole life after that. So, that might be part of it too, where he's just so involved in the drug world and everything like that.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, I don't know. I support any fighter that has the guts and the courage to get into a cage and fight another trained killer. But I just hate feeling sad for guys. Like I was mad at BJ Penn for a little bit for going out the way he did, because
Yeah.
I'm a huge BJ Penn fan, and him to go out there like that, it made me feel really really sad after the fight, dude. Like I was legit. Like after the fights were done, me and my friends usually go play cards or whatever. I was kind of like, I'm just gonna go home. Like, why? And I'm like, I really don't fucking feel like celebrating. There's nothing to celebrate. That was a sad fight.
Yeah.
So Diego's one of those guys to me that when he goes in there, yeah, he puts in a great show, comes forward, lands damage, takes shots, and shows a lot of heart and courage. But his fights always end sad when he has to be on that mic and he's slurring every word. And it's damn. I do not want to see him anywhere when he's older.
Yeah, kind of like, the same thing with Chuck Liddell, man, in the end,
Yeah.
where he started getting that same punch drunk kind of.
Yeah, and Dana White had to tell him to stop. So I'm hoping at one point Dana White tells Diego, "Hey man, just time to enjoy a nice little desk job where you're not getting punched in the face every day."
Yeah. All right. We didn't do as well on the WSOF 15 Branch versus Okami event there.
Nope.
Dave Branch versus Yushin Okami. Dave Branch defeats Yushin Okami by TKO due to strikes at 3:39 of round 4 to retain the middleweight title. That one kind of ended in a bit of a shocker, huh?
Oh, absolutely, man. I thought Yushin Okami was going to get this to the ground. It was going to be, a ground and hump affair for the rest of the fight. But no, that first round, yeah, they grappled and everything. But David Branch held his own, man. That was actually kind of a fun first round. And then the second round, both of them threw all fucks out the window, and they stood him. There was like the stand and bang for the rest of the fight. And that fourth round, Branch hit him with a solid straight right. Okami didn't know what the hell was happening. He went down, and then Branch came down with a barrage of punches to force the fight to end it, or to force basically end the fight there. But Branch showed the ability to kind of just grit his teeth and come forward and end the fight on his terms. And it just kind of sucks for Yushin Okami, who came in with a win in WSOF already, but he came in to a title fight that he was expected to win. I don't know who was the favorite. I don't remember. I think you might have mentioned it, but I don't remember who it was. But Okami was expected to get the decision win. I don't think anybody chose David Branch to win that fight. And for David Branch to come out and get the upset win, in my opinion, tells a lot about him, and it's going to make him a name for WSOF.
Yeah, none of us actually thought that Dave Branch was going to win that one. We all picked Okami by decision, and I think most of the fans were also thinking that Okami had that one too, like you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we didn't do too well on that one there. Dave Branch defeats Yushin Okami by TKO due to strikes at 3:39 of round 4 to retain the middleweight title. And then another one that didn't turn out the way that we thought. Justin Gaethje versus Melvin Gillard. Justin beat.
Hey, you there? Because I can't hear you. Oh. All right. So it looks like Rich might have dropped off by accident. He was going to talk about Justin Gaethje against Melvin Gillard. Now, that fight was actually kind of fun because Gillard didn't make weight, and so it wasn't a title fight, and that really does suck. But, oh man, it was kind of sad. I was kind of upset. I felt like Melvin Gillard disrespected, the sport, the fans, his fellow fighters, and his opponent by missing weight. You're not supposed to do that. When you sign that contract to make weight and to fight, you got to make that weight. So, I think it's the third time he misses weight overall, the second time he misses weight in WSOF. And then, of course, they fined him 50% of his purse. So, anyway, so Gillard took on Justin Gaethje with no title on the line. So Gillard comes in, he tags Gaethje a few times, and Justin kind of just ate those shots and threw some of his own out there. And in the second round, he connected with some nice punches, a spinning elbow that rocked Gillard. And in the third round, Gaethje launched.
Sorry about that. You there?
Yeah, man, I kept rolling on. It's all good.
Looks like we had a glitch there.
All good. You got kicked off for a second?
I have no idea where I dropped out at. What did you last hear me say?
Nothing. You said Gaethje and it went off, and so once I saw that you kind of fell off on there, I just started talking about the fight.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I didn't hear what you said. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I was just saying that I'm talking about how Gillard missed weight for like the second time in WSOF, and how he disrespected the sport, his opponents, his fellow fighters, and basically the fans by not making weight again. Made this fight a non-title fight. And it was still a fun fight because Gillard came in and started, he tagged Gaethje a few times, and Justin just ate the shots and kept coming forward a bit. And the second he connected with some nice punches and a spinning elbow, and that spinning elbow actually rocked Gillard pretty good. And in the third round, Gaethje just started landing kicks on Gillard, and Gillard was kind of one-legging it the rest of the way, but he still survived and ended up being a decision win for Gaethje. But I think that the biggest takeaway, man, again, is this weight cut issue that guys just can't make weight. And Gillard is one of those guys that's constantly missing weight, and it's getting ridiculously annoying. And someone's got to force him at some point to you either move up or stop fighting, because you're clearly not going to make this weight class.
Yeah. Those leg kicks were brutal, man. He just was chopping Gillard down, man. It was like, oh man, it was like kick after kick after kick to the leg, man, and it was inside, outside, inside, outside. It was like, oh man, left leg, right leg. And he was just switching it back and forth on him, and you could tell, man, Gillard was just waiting for that round to be over, man. He was just in survival mode there.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I mean, again, I don't know if you ever gotten leg kicked, but it's not fun for anything. Like the way I learned it was I was kind of the what was it? It was when they call someone during class, like, oh, you come up, we're gonna demonstrate. And they demonstrate a technique, and obviously they didn't go hard at all. And of course, I'm stupid, and I'm like, okay, show me a real leg kick. What do you mean? I threw the pad down, and I go ahead and leg kick me. This guy, first of all, he's been doing Muay Thai for years, okay, years. And he goes, no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm like, give me one leg kick. And he's like, no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm like, fine, 50% of the kick. Okay, he gave me what he said was 50%, and I fucking dropped, dude. That shit hurt like a bitch. So, yeah, leg kicks, Gillard was not ready for that, and Gaethje threw him hard. Like, he threw him with intention to just destroy his leg, and it ended up working out real well.
Yeah, that was brutal. It was painful to actually watch that, man. And I don't think there were too many people who didn't think that Melvin Gillard wasn't going to win that one without a problem there, because, the guy is like a bull, man,
Yeah, I mean, he comes in, and any strike that Gillard sends out is to take someone's head off. And he was trying again this time around, but Gaethje was able to eat him. And I think, I think that weight cut, if it's legit that he actually tried to cut weight and wasn't just full of it, that weight cut might have actually hurt Gillard's performance. So maybe he didn't have the same amount of power that he usually does, and clearly Gaethje did have the power necessary to put a hurting on Gillard. He wasn't able to finish him, but he did hurt him pretty bad.
Yeah, well, Gillard was actually 8 pounds over initially, and then, like I was saying before I got cut off there, when all was said and done, he was still 3 pounds over in the end. And I thought I heard somebody making a comment about that, about not being, I think it was Boss Rutan, doesn't he do the color commentary over there?
WSOF.
Yeah.
I kind of had it on mute, so I didn't listen to it. But I think he does. I don't think he does WSOF. I think he does somebody else, but I can't remember. Let me find out. He might actually.
Yeah, I actually thought I heard him say that once Gillard couldn't sweat any more weight out, that was it, and there was nothing you can do. Once you stop sweating, there's no way you're going to cut any more weight if you're trying to.
Yeah, you're right. I'm seeing it right here. Yeah, he's talking about that. Yeah. So, and he's right. You can only take so much sweat out before you start. Your body starts failing on you. So, I mean, that's how we got Renan Barao and Henry Cejudo in that one UFC 170, I think it was.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So, like I said, there, you, me, and Fred, we all went with Gillard. You guys didn't really mention a finish there. I was choosing Gillard by TKO in 2. I don't think you guys picked a finish or method.
That's what I would have said. I would have said TKO or knockout. I don't think Gillard's stopping anybody.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so wrapping that one up. Any more comments on that?
Not at all.
Okay, Justin Gaethje defeats Melvin Guillard by split decision with the judges' scorecards reading 28-29, 29-28, and 30-27 in a 159-pound non-title catch weight bout that was actually supposed to be a title fight.
Yeah, that's unfortunate and disrespectful by Guillard. And again, someone's gonna have to make him either choose to move up or figure something else out. Because at third time that he misses weight, second time WSOF, not a good look for the organization or for the sport as a whole.
Yeah, and especially too when he was talking all the shit that he was talking about, how he was a professional and this and that. He got a lot of shit for that. A lot of guys were ripping on him because he's talking about how professional he is and so on and so forth, and yet he couldn't make weight.
No, definitely.
Okay, did you see the next fight we're going to talk about here? Jessica Aguilar versus Kalindra Faria.
I did not see it, but I did hear about it from obviously someone that watched it. But all I heard was that the first round was pretty damn close because Twitter exploded a little bit. They were thinking that there was going to be an upset because the first round was so close, and then Aguilar kept getting takedowns, and Faria would just keep popping back up. But ultimately, it looks like Aguilar did enough to win that to keep her belt, win the decision victory.
Yeah, I mean, looking at that fight there, she had her hands full with Kalindra there, and I think that was likely the toughest fight that she's had to date in the WSOF. Um, and, and even though she did win that unanimous decision, um, Kalindra, she really didn't have that much of a chance to win the fight there, but going 5 rounds with Jessica Aguilar, who was supposed to pretty much dominate her, I thought it was actually pretty close there. When I was watching the fight, I was like, damn, Jessica's struggling here in this fight.
Yeah, and Jessica Aguilar is one of those that's considered to possibly be the best at her weight class that's outside of the UFC. And I would have to agree with that. And to see her struggle in the first round that way, or to hear about her struggling in that first round that way, is pretty surprising to me.
Yeah, and and again, even though even though that was Aguilar's toughest fight to date, I mean, she still won, 50-45, 50-45, 50-45, on all the judges' scorecards. But I don't really think that reflected, how tough the fight was for her.
Definitely, and again, it's that just credit to the female fighters coming up, and that gap. And the women, look, in the women's division, there's if we're talking, let's say, because I think that was a strawweight fight, right?
Yeah.
Okay. If we're talking bantamweight, there's a huge difference between the top, the best, and everybody else. It's Ronda Rousey's up here, everybody else is like, well, under the screen here. So, it's very clear. In the strawweight division, that's not necessarily true. The difference between fighters is very, very tiny. There's no set best in the division, really. I mean, we saw Tisha Torres lose her very first fight in Tough 20, and that was not expected to happen. So, it's that disparity between of talent in that division is not as great as it is in the bantamweight division. And Kalindra coming in like that and taking it to Aguilar in the first round, especially, and in the whole fight overall, as I've heard, is it's very surprising, but it's also very encouraging that people will finally begin to accept women's MMA as a very entertaining and a very accepted part of the sport.
Yeah, I've always loved women's MMA. I've always been a fan of it, and you had all these macho, chauvinistic, misogynistic fucking guys who, don't really care for women's MMA, and it's for no good reason, man. Because lots of times the women, bring it more so than the men do.
Yeah, no, I always enjoy women's fights more than men's, honestly. Like, again, that Jessica I fight should have been in the main card of UFC 180. And some of those UFC cards that have no women on it, I think we talked about this before. It's just missing that little something that would make that card just great. In a women's fight, ever since they started fighting, professionally. It's just something you need to have for your event, and it's something that I look forward to all the time. When there's actually a female fight coming because UFC Fox 13 is coming here December 13th, and I got tickets to that. And a women's fight on it until just recently they named. Let me find it real quick. Oh, Claudia Gadella against Joanna. I know you're gonna bother saying the last name, but they actually have a female fight in the card now, which I'm actually very excited for. So
Yeah,
no, man.
yeah, I do everything I can do to try to help promote the ladies because I don't think they get enough respect, and you know, a lot of people just don't even pay attention to the women unless it's Ronda Rousey, but I don't think that's right, you know.
Yeah, no, I agree, and yeah, I mean, look, that's a good thing is that fans are helping them out, and then those girls like Felice Herrig that are using social media to their advantage to get their names out there, so yeah, a lot of people hate her for it. A lot of people dislike her a lot because of she likes to get attention, but again, that's part of the business. The more attention you get, the more sponsors you're gonna get, the more the more you're gonna get paid, and you know. It's nice to get them some more attention, and that talent pool is growing for them, and so now instead of being known for just look, the pretty girls are here and all that, and they're gonna be fighting, now it's gonna be like, holy shit, that badass chick is about to throw down, you gotta watch this fight.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if you saw the last episode of Tough, the episode 9 show. Did you see that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, what did you think about some of the childish shit that's going on with those ladies in that house, man?
Oh man, it all goes back. Unfortunately, they're kind of put in a situation like that house again. They're not allowed to go anywhere. They don't have TV. They don't have no phones. They have no communication with anybody in the outside world. And if that's gonna get to guys as bad as it usually does with the men, Ultimate Fighters, with the women, it's just notched up some more. And then once you get a little bit of drama, women just can't let it go. And so that Heather Jo Clark thing is still going on.
Yeah, man, she's out of it, and they're still fucking ragging on her, you know?
And then, and again, she's not helping herself too much either. But the way they've alienated her, Lisa Ellis, and I think that's it. Maybe somebody else, I don't remember. Tisha Torres. The way that the Scripets have alienated them, kind of being led by Angela Magana, who's kind of trying to be the female Chael Sonnen. It's not working that well, but regardless.
Well, the way what Joanne Calderwood said about Beck Rawlings and Angela Magana?
Yeah, I think she posted something that they're just not nice people, and it's just, I mean, I believe it, but again, it's a house full of fighters. They're all women. They're all kind of pissed off and ready to go home, and so, childish shit's going to happen. But I'm pretty sure it's not going to happen every day, but if that kind of shit...
The reason I don't like it, because it's almost like, these are grown-ass fucking women, and, it's almost like they're acting like 14 and 15-year-old high school girls. It's like, come on, ladies, grow the fuck up here.
I think the only one I haven't seen do anything crazy is the chick from, what's her name, the one that lost to Rose. Alex. She might be like the only one that I haven't seen into some drama, and I might be wrong, but I haven't seen her do anything crazy.
Yeah.
And so, it's just one of those things. You got to take it with the reality shows, and it's the appeal to some of the viewers. By the way, a lot of the casual viewers, the casual MMA fans, love that kind of shit. Me, you, Fred, being the hardcore MMA guys, not necessarily huge fans of it. We understand it, but no, not huge fans of the drama. We'd rather just watch the fights. And if I watch fights, like if they're recorded or I find them on the internet somewhere, I usually skip all the reality TV of it, and I go right to the fight.
Yeah, and I didn't like the shit with the guys either when they were tearing up the $1 million home and shit like that. But I don't mind watching a little bit of the reality type shit as long as it's not childish bullshit,
Yeah, I mean, look, man, I got a huge laugh of "Let me bang, bro" when that dude was yelling out in tears and shit. That shit was funny. But the constant same, talking about the same old bullshit type of thing they're doing on this season, it's just kind of annoying. And I mean, maybe the producers were egging it on. We've heard of that shit happening in other seasons. So they clearly wanted the ratings.
Yeah, maybe it's also this too. They say that when women spend time with each other, they wind up cycling with the same, So
I got.
They're all cycling in the same cycle, and they're all bitching at each other.
Dude, I got bitched at today for that. I was hanging out with this chick, and she was having like a shitty day, and I go, "How could you have a bad day? It's Sunday. You didn't work." I was like, "Well, I gotta go into work tomorrow." And Stacy said this, and this, and this, and I'm like, "How long you guys been working together?" Oh, like 3 years, and I'm like, "Oh, you guys are in the same cycle, so you're bitching at each other," and I got yelled at for that.
Yeah,
and
that's what they say though.
Yeah. I believe it. I believe it, but we believe it. We can't talk about it because then we get bitched up for it. So you know how it is.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, you didn't see that fight?
Oh no, the fight between fuck, I can't
Jessica,
remember the name.
Jessica and Kalindra.
No, I didn't see that fight. No, but
All right.
but
If you
I
get a
just
chance,
heard about it.
yeah, if you get a chance, check it out, man. Because
I'm gonna have to.
yeah, looking at the scores, like I said, 50-45 by all three judges there. I don't think that accurately reflected how difficult that fight was for Jessica.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out then.
Okay, so yeah, on the WSOF card, that was the only fight that we wound up picking correctly. We only picked three fights and predicted three fights on that one.
And we only got the Aguilar fight.
Yeah.
Son of a bitch. I need to work on my pick game. This isn't good.
Oh, we didn't do too bad on the UFC, weren't we? 3-1. That's not too bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, and let's talk about real quickly about the Bellator 131 Tito versus
Oh man,
Bonnar. We've
Bellator.
got Stephan Bonnar versus Tito Ortiz, and wow, man, what can be said about the direction that Bellator is heading in here, man? Like I mentioned earlier here, I was totally wrong about Coker's intended direction for the organization. When he first came in and took over for Redney, um, he looked like he was making some changes and getting rid of some of the clowning aspects and the WWE style antics. Um, and then he's also ignoring or claiming that he didn't know about the WWE style antics, as he put it, by Bonnar and Ortiz. But then the shit just went on again after the fight there. But I don't know, man. It just, to me, and I'm seeing a lot of people complain about this, and maybe they're just the hardcore fans, but they're not liking the fact that Bellator is going that way, because a lot of people are saying it actually cheapens the sport of MMA, and it makes professional MMA look bad.
Man, I have to agree. I would have to agree with that aspect of it, but I'm gonna play kind of devil's advocate. Um, okay, Coker, he had Strike Force, and he didn't run into the ground. He didn't do great with it, but he ended up selling the UFC and all that. We all know the whole story. But I almost feel like he got a win for Bellator with this one, because he got two former UFC guys, two UFC Hall of Famers. They're big names. Casual fans tune into this fight, and if you go on Twitter and just type in Tito Ortiz and Stephan Bonnar, you'll run into a lot of hardcore fans who are like, this is boring, dog shit fight, washed up guys, barely swinging at each other because their cardio's dog shit and all that. And then once in a while you'll get, oh, what an awesome fight. That dude's getting punched in the face. Oh, I can't believe it. Those are the casual fans that Scott Coker was targeting. With the antics, with the pro wrestling crap, with all that. I mean, Coker loved all of it. I mean, he was on his Twitter and he was praising Tito Ortiz after the fight, even after Tito was named the winner, and then Tito throws the water on Bonnar,
Yeah, and
and
then
then
he's
starts
flipping
flicking
them
him
off
off.
with those stereo birds, and it's like, come on.
Yeah, and then hey, look, at the same time, Bonnar dropped like, oh, woe is me. He's on the ground like that. No one else does that. No other fighters do that. No one else drops to the ground like their
Oh, he
life
did
is
that in the
ending.
UFC too.
Yeah, and exactly. That's the one thing I always thought about Stephan Bonnar. I was like, oh god, really? Come on, dude. You lost a fight, but you're not dead. You're not gonna. You still feed your family. Clearly, you got paid. So, but I don't know. I'm with you on this one. I don't like the antics. I don't like the pro wrestling thing. I don't like the like at the very beginning when they announced a fight, bringing the masked idiot into the freaking cage. The guy no one knew, by the way. No one knows who the fuck McCully is.
Yeah.
And so and then the fake brawl, and then I don't know. The whole thing was just ridiculous. But the fight itself, let's talk about the fight. That shit was horrible.
It was,
That
man. I mean, both of
horrible
those
fight.
guys were fucking running out of gas in round two, and then in round three, it was like, what, are you fucking kidding me? These guys
Yeah.
could barely throw punches in round three.
Yeah, now Tito Ortiz, to his credit, looked like he took this fight kind of serious, because he actually showed up in shape for the most part. But he also looked like he gassed out in the first round. Stephan Bonnar looked like he didn't even bother training for the fight. I mean, if you look at a picture of Stephan Bonnar before the Anderson Silva fight, that dude's ripped. He's huge, and granted, I know we know he's on steroids at that point, but he showed up to this fight, and somebody made the joke that someone should have given Stephan Bonnar a bra, a sports bra, because he had titties. That's all he had. So It was true though. He came in looking like shit. I mean, he was like the very first round.
From a lot of people.
His technique was garbage. His gas tank ran out in the first half of the first round. And at the same time, that kind of speaks.
He was looking much better in round 3 than the other fights, but again, that was because Tito was looking like shit in round 3.
Yeah, Tito gassed out after the first round too. In the second round, he was kind of trying to preserve energy, and then he kind of said, "Fuck it, I'm trying to finish this," and he couldn't. And by the third round, it was like watching that one movie with Robert De Niro and Sylvester Stallone, the old boxers movie that turned out to be dog shit. Apparently, but I enjoyed it, but it turned out to be dog shit for everybody else. And it looked like that. It was just kind of like, So after what turned out to be a pretty decent Bellator card overall, to have that on there was, I mean, if you're, like King Mo, if you're Joe Schilling, if you're, especially if you're Michael Chandler and Will Brooks, which is an awesome fight, you gotta be kind of pissed off a little bit because your card's not gonna be remembered by, by the awesome performance by Will Brooks. Yet a weird finish, but still the awesome performance by Will Brooks to keep his championship, or King Mo with a great performance, or Nam Fan getting finished in the first round. You're not going to remember that. You're going to remember this is the spectacle that was a circus that we call Tito Ortiz or Stephan Bonnar, and it really sucks with the rest of the fighters. But again, devil's advocate, it works for Bellator. It helped Bellator out because it got more eyes. I would love to see the ratings that come out on the Bellator event and how they compared with an awesome UFC 180 card and actually a pretty good WSOF card as well.
Yeah, I don't know if Bellator is going to pursue this sort of gimmick fight with the entertainment wrestling aspects and antics. It should always be on a non-televised undercard, I just can't see them. I was actually cringing while I was watching the fight, man.
I know.
Again, even more so, like I said, after the fight was over with the shit with the water bottle and the flipping them off, it's like, come on.
Yeah, I mean, UFC 180 has so many finishes on it. It actually ended before Bellator 131 ended. On TV. As far as the West Coast, I don't know if they had that whole weird thing where it's like on tape delay for the West Coast, even though the fight was in California. But regardless, on the TV we had UFC 180 ends, right? And then we still have one TV that has Bellator 131. It ended, I think the UFC ended at like near the end of the Will Brooks Michael Chandler fight, and then they had Tito Ortiz and Stephan Bonnar. So next to that TV was Arizona State against Washington State college football, and we're watching this Stephan Bonnar fight, and I ended up just kind of turning over to the football game because I was like, this fucking sucks.
Yeah.
It's really freaking boring, and the antics were stupid. Like after the fight, I guess Tito must really actually hate Stephan Bonnar because he flicked him off, threw the water on him, and all that, and that was stupid. There's no sportsmanship there whatsoever. I mean, you just went three rounds. With the guy, you should at least be like, hey man, respect for because you got in here, but there was none of that, and I don't know, man. I think I tweeted it out. Stephan Bonnar and Tito Ortiz should never, ever, ever fight again, ever. But I have a feeling that's not gonna happen. I'm pretty sure they're both gonna.
I was actually calling out Tito Ortiz.
Oh come on, really? King Mo just got knocked the hell out by Emmanuel Newton. Knocked him the fuck out. Like Emmanuel Newton knocked him out. King Mo needs to shut up. Go fight some other guy and get your money. Because Tito Ortiz is gonna make some kind of he'll make the fight and then he'll get hurt. That's what's gonna happen. So.
Yeah, so Tito Ortiz defeats Stephan Bonnar by split decision with the judges' scorecard 30-27, 28-29, and 30-27.
That's the other weird thing. For the fact that the fight sucked, Tito Ortiz should have won that by unanimous decision. Somebody actually thought Stephan Bonnar won that fight. Get the fuck out of here. Come on.
Yeah, I had Bonnar winning the third round myself, but
yeah, I didn't think. I thought Bonnar had a horrible showing all 3 rounds. I mean, and it might be because at that point I was kind of bored and annoyed with the whole fight, so I might have been like, Stephan Bonnar, you asshole. But
he was actually getting some shots in on Tito in the third because in the third Tito just couldn't lift his arms up. I mean, he was throwing punches. Well, you can't even really call it throwing punches. He was throwing his arms out there, but I mean, he looked like fucking shit in the third.
Yeah, he was swiping at Bonnar, yeah. But the Okami was the shit, dude. That fight was good.
Yeah. Yeah, and on that one there, we all picked Bonnar, I believe.
Really? I didn't remember who I picked on that one. I was, oh, okay. Well, hey.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, I think you said neither fighter is going to finish,
oh
but
yeah, I think so, something like that. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Oh yeah. That's when I had to leave. I had to leave the. I had to leave the show because I think my
right,
sister's car broke down. I had to go pick her up.
right. Okay, yeah, and then Will Brooks versus Michael Chandler. This was another fight on the night there with a truly bizarre ending, man. I don't know, I never witnessed an ending like this to a fight. It looked like after Brooks caught Chandler with that right to the temple while Chandler was getting up on his feet, um, that Brooks managed to turn, some sort of switch off on Chandler's cognition there because after Chandler got hit, he stepped back, he put his hands up, and it was like he was like, okay, like he was calling off the fight, and and it was kind of like a kid going, okay, time out, time out, like in a game of tag. I was like, what the fuck is he doing, you know? And
Hmm.
then, once Brooks realized that, he just, he went in and he landed several more shots, and the ref gave, Chandler a chance to recuperate, but he was just not there, man. Yeah, it was really bizarre. I mean, did you see that one?
Yeah, I saw that fight, but that tripped me the fuck out too because it was an awesome fight. But it looked like the punch might have, or maybe Will Chandler might have thought that he got punched in the back of the head because he did throw his hands up like hey, I got fouled, and then kind of turned to the cage and he was turning to the crowd, kind of saying hey, I got fouled. But when
Yeah,
he turned around, Will Brooks said, oh, you're still fighting? All right, fuck it, let's go.
it looked like he just was not there. It looked like
Yeah,
he had
yeah.
that blank look on his face when he had his hands up like that. It was like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was just a weird finish to the fight because it was just there was a lot of question marks after that one because everyone was wondering, okay, what the hell just happened? And yeah, Michael Chandler had no idea what was going on. So so yeah, man,
So that was pretty much domination by Will Brooks. I mean, I thought he pretty much dominated Chandler the first time. Fred disagreed with me on that, but I thought Will Brooks convincingly won the first fight with him as well. I mean, some people were saying it was closer. I even see some people saying Chandler won the first fight. I didn't see it that way. But I don't know, man. To me, that tells me that Will Brooks is the real deal, and he handed Michael Chandler another devastating loss. So, I mean, what do you think, man?
um, no, I agree. Will Brooks is real. He's that first fight. I also had Will Brooks winning it. A lot of people had Michael Chandler winning it. It set up the rematch, and Will Brooks clearly went out to prove that he was the better fighter. So the question now begins to be, what do you do with Michael Chandler? He's lost twice to the guy now, the champ. I mean, you're not going to make that third fight right away, and you're certainly. I mean, maybe the fact that the roster's not that great over at Bellator, but I mean, are you going to give him a third shot at Brooks, or are you going to tell him to keep moving on, or to change weight classes? I'm very interested to see what
I
happens to
actually
Michael
thought
Chandler.
Brooks got the belt after Alvarez left.
Right, because he was interim champion, and when Alvarez left, I think they made him outright, but this kind of cemented it.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah. So yeah, like you're saying, man, that puts a big question mark on Michael Chandler there because what do they do with him now? I mean, I'm sure they were fully expecting him like we were, to get the win in this one.
yeah, no, definitely, definitely. Let's see. Yeah, I think I had Michael Chandler winning, right?
We Yeah, you said Chandler wins, but you didn't say how. You just said he's going to get his belt back. Fred went with Chandler by TKO and two, and I also went with Chandler by TKO and two. But I agreed with Fred. I don't know if you listened to the show when we were done, but yeah, both Fred and I thought that Chandler was going to take Brooks a little more seriously, um, and I don't say that he didn't, but
Hmm.
you know, Will Brooks is obviously more than Michael Chandler can deal with, in my opinion.
Right, and that's very true. So, um, I don't know, man. Will Brooks is gonna start becoming a force here, depending on who they pair him up against. And sooner or later the calls are gonna start coming. When are you gonna get Will Brooks to the UFC?
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I'm excited to see what Bellator can make with Will Brooks and what Will Brooks can do for himself. Because then you can get that talent pool, to improve over at Bellator, and you can actually compete against the UFC at some point.
Yeah. Okay, wrapping that one up there, Will Brooks defeats Michael Chandler by TKO due to punches at 3:48 of round 4 to secure the Bellator lightweight title. Right, real quickly, Muhammad Lalo versus Joe Videpo. Is that how you say that fellow's name?
Joel, let me find. I had it written down actually the name because I had a little bit of trouble with it. Where the fuck is it? Okay, my mind just kind of shut off. Oh, Videpo, yeah, Videpo.
Yeah. So King Mo defeats Joe Videpo by TKO due to punches at 39 seconds of round 3. And a lot of people thought that it wasn't going to go that long. A lot of people were expecting King Mo to get a quick win and by TKO or KO in round 1 or 2. What'd you think of that one?
Man, I think I mean King Mo did what King Mo does, man. Like he got the takedown. He basically spent most of his time on top position on Joe Videpo, you know. He got the takedown, just landing damage from the top. Videpo really had no chance to do anything off his back, really. And then I think I think it was the third round that King Mo he rocked Videpo or something, and then Videpo kind of shot for a takedown. He failed, and Mo ended up being on top of him again and just TK. It's a King Mo performance again. Joe Videpo was not a huge, big time opponent. And then calling out Tito Ortiz, like, come on, man. How about you get on a little bit of a win streak? But that's the one thing about calling out the big names. Is you call it a big name, you can expect a big check to fight him. So maybe King Mo's shooting for that. But overall, good performance. The usual performance that we've come to know King Mo for, as far as when he's dominant. Take the guy down, be on top of him, elbow him to shit, and then end the fight. And that's it.
Yeah, speaking of a big check, you know what Tito Ortiz made for that night?
No, but I heard he got paid like a motherfucker, man.
Paid like a motherfucker, $300,000.
What the fuck? For that? He got 300. Come on.
Yep.
Oh, jeez.
And they said that was more than half of what the rest of the fighters made.
Yeah. How about we start criticizing Bellator for their fighter pay? How about we start doing that? Everyone bitches about the UFC so much.
Well, that's what. Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying too, because it's the same thing. I mean, it's the same thing everywhere else, and it's almost like a strategy of the UFC where they, push out these named fighters to go to like, B tier organizations or C tier organizations, and these organizations wind up spending that big money on these named fighters, and then it typically drives them bankrupt.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and it's again, no one's criticizing Bellator at this point. Everyone's kind of on that bandwagon of shitting on the UFC for fighter pay, but I think we need to get on every organization for it at this point.
I mean, after watching what the whole spectacle of Bellator, to me, that's becoming more of a spectacle. Almost like, do you remember Elite XC?
Yeah, I do.
It reminded me so much of Elite XC, and I don't know if Coker was involved in that, but that was the front runner to the Strike Force organization. And I don't know if Coker was involved in that, but it started to look to me much like Elite XC, and that was a failed, recipe for MMA success. I mean, it was just dreadful, that Elite XC. It was horrible, man, and that's what that event looked like last night in Bellator with the runways and the flashy lights, and I mean, I don't know, not a fan.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't mind the flashing lights. I don't mind the the ramps, the lights, the video screens. Fine, it's all good. Do your thing, but don't start mixing that world between WWE and MMA.
Yeah,
So
but you start getting to that when you start putting in the runways and shit like that. How about just having the guys come in, like they do in most other MMA organizations, where they, just come down the aisle between the audience.
yeah, I mean, and Invicta does nothing to the effect of what Bellator did last night, but they do have like a screen in the back, but it literally just says their name. That's all it is. With this Bellator thing, it was like flashy lights. I mean, people probably, what do they call that thing where if you look at flashy lights, you can get like a seizure, whatever that's called.
Epilepsy.
Epilepsy. I mean, imagine that. Someone with epilepsy watching that shit probably freak the hell out. But maybe they seized up and missed the fight. It was probably for the best anyway. But still, yeah, I don't know. This is, yeah, you're right. It's a spectacle. And I even called it a circus on my show today. So Yeah. Again, unfortunate for the rest of that card, but well, at least someone got paid out of it, I guess. Tito made bank. He could probably go chill out for a little longer before he needs to get another paycheck.
Yeah, he's going to be able to take care of a few bills with that payday.
Oh yeah, man. Maybe he can get a lawyer to get rid of Jenna Jameson for once. That chick's getting annoying. I'm just saying.
I don't know. I just never understand. I mean, I know a lot of guys date strippers and shit like that. I just don't understand it. I mean, what are you expecting when you go out with a stripper or marry a stripper or, a dancer or whatever the fuck they call themselves nowadays?
Yeah, I mean, look, the way I see it is if you're a guy who's building your career and you're making a lucrative amount of money, don't get married. Don't get married and don't make kids with them because you do not want to have to be attached to any of those crazy chicks. Like, look, I know not 100% of porn stars and strippers and everything had daddy issues, but I'll say 99.999% do. So you don't want to pick up one of those the basket cases that you gotta deal with once they get mad at you. So, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so our picks and predictions for that one. Fred went with King Mo by TKO and 1, 7 points for him. You went with King Mo, you didn't say how, 4 points for you. And I went with King Mo by TKO and 2, 7 points for me. And King Mo defeats Joe Vadepo by TKO due to punches at 39 seconds of round 3. Okay, and then the last one we're going to talk about on that card in that event, Melvin Manhoff versus Joe Schilling. Joe Schilling defeats Melvin Manhoff by knockout due to punches at 32 seconds of round 2, and that was a pretty big upset, huh?
That was an awesome right hand that he threw. It was I think it was the second round. He the first one was fun, and you're talking Melvin Manhoff who leaves his fucks at home and shows up to just swing punches like a crazy man. And then Joe Schilling, who's a very high level kickboxer striker. That guy, he does work on the feet, and lands that nasty right hand right on Melvin Manhoff, and I think I yelled out something during the when we were watching the fights at the bar. I yelled out something like oh shit, Schilling just decapitated Melvin Manhoff. He wins by decapitation. It was crazy because Manhoff he hits him with the right, and his body just seizes up, arms go out, and he just drops. I'm like, oh shit, like. And again, Schilling's record is now 2-3 in MMA. It's not a great record, but but with this kind of performance, clearly he put everybody in the 185 Bellator division on notice because that was fun as hell to watch.
Yeah, well, Fred even said, watch out for this guy Joe Schilling.
Yeah.
Man. He didn't really make a prediction or a pick or anything like that, but I was assumed that by his comments that he was expecting Schilling to win.
Yeah, I think we were talking about that. I kept saying I don't really know who Schilling is, and Fred actually brought up the fact that he was a hell of a striker. So, Manhoff kind of maybe came in with his guard down and ate a right hand, went to sleep. So, overall fun fight actually. Even though it only lasted 2 rounds, but it ended in such a fashion that it was just fun to watch.
Yeah, we really didn't make picks on that one there. I mean, you briefly said you thought Manhoff was going to win, but.
Yeah.
Anything, and I didn't really make a pick on that one either. We kind of just fell apart after you left there. We didn't really go into detail on the Bellator 131 event.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I try to pay attention to the I always pay attention to the UFC cards, but I only pay attention to the fights that I know I care about when it comes to Bellator and WSOF and all those. Because let's just be honest, it's a shitload of stuff on that Saturday night. That's 3 cards was a lot. So,
I hope they don't do that again, man, because I struggle to watch everything because there were fights that I wanted to see on each one of those cards.
Yeah.
But, it was difficult.
No, I agree. Hey, I want to see Jessica Aguilar. I just didn't get to. So, that's one of those things like that.
Check that fight out when you get a chance, man. I'd like to hear what your thoughts are on that after watching that one.
I'll look it up and everything. But real quick before we I guess we're gonna wrap up and everything. I'm getting more things here on the Rose Namajunas thing with Duke Rufus or whatever Rufus Sport. It's not with Coach Rufus himself. It's with his striking coach. I believe his name is Scott Cushman, and you've actually seen him on Tough 20. He's actually the striking coach. You see with the big pad right here.
Oh,
and he's
yeah.
catching punches from there. Yeah, that's him.
Yeah, that big dude, that massive dude.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It is, and again, go check out Rose's Twitter and her sport page. She kind of gives a bit of an explanation of the problem, but there's a lot of people that didn't like this guy. Like a lot of people. He calls people names, calls them moron, all stuff. One girl that used to fight there, I guess Rose used to train at Rufus Sport, and now she's able to talk about it. But she used to train there, and she left it. And here's a chick that hit her up on her score page, saying, "quote Rose, not sure if you remember me, but we had a talk before you left for the show. The words we exchanged helped me leave. Thank you. I'm now happier than ever where I am now. Seriously, I was stressed that day, and Rose could see my frustration. She pulled me aside and was willing to listen. I've been called a moron. On my first day of fight team, I cried. He told the whole class I didn't belong there. Didn't even take the time out and ask me why. I was in an abusive relationship for 2 years. He completely embarrassed me in front of the whole gym. Sad excuse for a coach." And that's for a female fighter. But some of the male fighters were talking about being called names, being forced to spar with guys nowhere near their weight class, getting bitched at in front of people, and getting called names and all that. Regardless, a lot of people are saying that guy Cushman only cares about the UFC guys, being Anthony Pettis and his brother, and maybe Ben Askren and all them. But clearly, this is going to be an issue.
Wasn't he coaching? Was he one of the assistant coaches on Team Melendez, or?
No, I think it was Team Pettis.
Oh yeah.
But
I did notice that on Team Pettis, a lot of the girls had a problem with one of the guys there, and maybe that was the fella.
It might be. But here's the thing is, now that everyone's starting to tweet Joe Rogan, because Joe Rogan has his podcast that reaches a ton of people, Joe Rogan is friends with that guy and Duke Rufus. I don't think he's going to end up, talking about it too much, because, those are his friends, but it's not the first time you hear about crappy coaches, or coaches doing that kind of thing. It is one of the first times you hear of a coach that's in a very high level, I guess, caliber, gym, such as Rufus Sport. So, it's going to be interesting to see what ends up happening, and if more fighters come out, to talk about it. But Rose is definitely the biggest name that's been talking about it. And apparently Pat Barry was actually there in that gym as well. And there's a guy that tells a story about how Pat Barry was watching the class, and I guess this person had kind of spoken up against the coach a little bit, and used him as a demonstration, and kind of punched him 3 times in the face really, really. The coach punched this guy 3 times in the face really, really hard, and Pat Barry was sitting down with this face of shock after it happened. So, yeah, man. Yeah, look, man. When light gets shown on crazy shit like this, it's gonna get talked about, and it's something's gonna happen, something's gonna change. It's gonna get really ugly a lot sooner than later, really.
Yeah, I noticed we got somebody that's been watching the show with us live for a while there. You got the comments up there in case they want to ask us a question?
I have it up. There's no comments out here, but if they want to chime in on this or anything else we talked about, they're definitely more than welcome to.
Cool. I want to say thanks to them for hanging in there and listening to us, because we've been bullshitting for a while now.
Yeah. Man, if they would have only gotten, if we would have aired what we were talking about before the show even started, man, we'd get a whole different audience.
Oh, yeah.
So, it'll be interesting if the New World Order ever gets involved in MMA. I'll just say that much.
Yeah. I typically don't talk about that shit, because every time you bring that stuff up, like I was saying, before the show there, a lot of people say, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist and this and that. Like I said to you, man, at one point when reality of the conspiracy starts to come true, it's no longer a conspiracy,
Yeah, and a lot of things have happened recently, but yeah, I don't know, man. If I read too much into that stuff, it gets to my head a little bit, and I start freaking out a bit. But I'm definitely gonna, like I said, I got like 7 different tabs open. I'm gonna read into this shit and throughout this week.
Check that shit out and keep an open mind, because it'll blow your fucking mind, man.
Yeah, I've seen some stuff on YouTube before, like for example that guy in Aurora, that whole shooting thing in the theater, that creeped me the hell out. But I'm gonna check this stuff out, man. Let you know what I come up with.
Well, maybe we can do a show on that at one point or another. You and I can just can sit and bullshit all fucking night.
Oh, easy. So yeah, man.
All right, Eddie, man. I always enjoy when you come on the show, man. I always have a good time chatting with you, buddy. I appreciate it.
Oh, dude, I enjoy this all the time. Anytime you have a show on, just do the usual, and if I got time to jump on, I will.
Okay. Yeah, I try to get the notices out there. Sunday, usually is not a good day for me. usually I'm out doing all kinds of things, and then I get back in the afternoon. So I don't always get the notifications out there in time for everybody, but that's what happened today. We actually had 3 or 4 guys that were supposed to join us, but I didn't get back in time and get the notices out soon enough so they could join us.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, next time hopefully we can get Fred on there. But Fred he's a busy guy. Two daughters in soccer, and the soccer thing is always crazy with the season on. So
Yeah.
hopefully we
I
can
did
join
want
us
to, I
next
did
time.
want to get him on. That's why I was kind of waiting too to try to get him on the show too.
Yeah,
But at least
yeah,
we got it
definitely.
done. Monday's not a good day for me, so I wanted to get it done today.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, like I said, anytime, just do the usual, put the notice up, and whatever I can do to jump on, I will.
Okay, bro. Appreciate you showing up, man. Thank you, and I guess we'll see you all next time. If anybody wants to, join us and chat on the shows, we pretty much keep the show open to any MMA fans. So, like I said, on all the other videos, just go to MMA chat, create an account, let us know that you want to join us on the show, and then we'll give you access to the area of the site where we plan the shows.
Definitely.
Okay, Eddie. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it, man. Have a good one.
Have a good one, man. Later.
All righty. Bye-bye.